Push. Right. Good afternoon, guys. Welcome back to our training, Photoshop training. Today we are going to talk about how do we want to use smart objects and why are we using smart objects. And then we are going to use the smart filters as well. And also we are going to look at how to color and color a black and white image, which I have already posted in our Google Classroom. So if you go in and go for the workshop, and you can see there's an announcement or attachment of materials where you can obtain all the components there for you to uh, work with, right, or for you to refer to as a reference. Okay, so without further ado, let's begin. You can take all your materials from here, you can obtain your materials from here, you can watch the videos later, right? I will show you another method here, and then you can go forward step by step with the YouTube videos that has been shared with you guys. Right, so let's start first with a black and white image. How do we want to color a black and white image? So as you know, previously in our previous classes that we already had a black and white image. Yeah, we used black and white image previously, and we used the AI tool to color your image, which is a cool tool. But what if you're using an old version? So sometimes it may not be the best option all the time to use a plugin and so. What you can do is you can use the other tools or the conventional tool for you to begin coloring or adding colors to your image. Right, I'm going to drag and drop in the ballerina image or photo, black and white photo. I'm going to rotate this guy. So if you were to place an object, a little recap, if you were to drag in an image, right, if you were to drag in an image as such, you will have the options where you have to rotate it and so, or you may not be placing the image where you want it in the center of the document. Making sense? Yeah. So yeah, there's one way, as we all know, we have already spoken about this previously. As you all know, if you were to drag any image or resources into Photoshop, what happens is you will what is it? Yeah. You will have that resources to be placed where the mouse is stopping or where the cursor is dropping, right? If you want it to be right in the center, what you have to do is you can do, or you can just go in and file, place embedded or place link. This is the most standard method of you to drag in for your to start with the Photoshop manipulation and so on, or editing in Photoshop. But then again, yeah, because this is a demo, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag and drop it. As you all know, place embed and place linked. Place linked is where the original sources may not be or will maintain its originality, and it will remain as it was previously. And when you manipulate, even if you save it or if you replace the linked document or if you replace a resource with the same name, it will automatically change. Yeah, and when you open up the PSD, it will have a different image if you save that in that with the same naming convention. So that's why place linked is fairly important, but fairly useful, and yeah, sometimes it's just like us, since we are so used to playing with quick concepting and so we may not use it, but you guys as a as for a start, it's good for you to play with that. Yeah, placing or place link and place embed. Place embed is practically bringing in the resources. You can drop it in, and this is where you just drop it in or pick the file where it is designated. So you can just pick it from there, and say it's PS training and the ballerina. I hit this and it just drops in the right in the middle. So this is place embed, which means it straight away becomes a rasterized layer. So when there is a rasterized layer, what happens to it is, if I were to rotate this image, right? So this is a transform tool. Automatically it gives you that option. So if I were to rotate any image, and if I were to scale it down and scale it up, the image quality will drop. Okay, so this is place embedded. So again, Control T or Command T. If I to make it small, press enter and Control T, and I blow it up again, you can see the quality of the image becomes will decrease accordingly. Am I making sense? Yeah. So that's why smart object is important, because when it's smart object, as you can see the icon as such, see this, if I Control G, right click on top of it, convert it to rasterize layer. If I scale it down and scale it down and scale it up again, you will see there will be a pixelation on that image. Alright, so these are the two things that you want to always remember. Yeah, so before you change it or rasterize any image or become a bitmap, yeah, not a smart object as such, now it will have the decrease on the pixelation. You will see all the pixels a bit more jaggedy, and so or it becomes more the quality drops and it becomes more blurrier, and so make sense. Yeah, so again, if you were to drag in any image, place embed, so you place embed something, some source to your file, to your document, and you place embed, it is still a smart object, yeah, but it will maintain or it will become part of your PS, which means your Photoshop. Right, if you place linked, if I share or if I place linked, it will maintain in the origin. Yeah, I will still make it as a smart object. It will maintain in the link or in the folder that it was originally, right? It's just that it is linked, and every time if I change this, I go in, I change the image name or replace this, it will automatically update here. An example would be, okay, I have a copy, I'm going to go in, I'm going to delete this first, I'll just bring in one piece there. So place linked, copy, I place it here, right? Something like this. Next thing is I open this up and I do a little edit, and I save. In the same folder, if I replace it, if I save it elsewhere, let me just open this in Photoshop. I do a little bit of editing, change color, do something like this, and I save it. Okay, now if I open back, can you see it automatically updates, Alright, that is place. Okay, this is just a recap. I've already explained this previously. So anyways, I'm going to just place embed. So this is no more there. I'm going to place embed here. You all know, place embed. It's still a smart object. I can now crop the file accordingly. Okay, crop it first. We're going to do a little bit of colors, editing to the addition to the object here, right? And how do you want to do that is by creating a layer, or before you create a layer, go with the lasso tool, depending whether you have a drawing tablet or if you have a polygonal tool, or you don't have a drawing tablet, you're going to use your mouse. What you have to do is select the polygonal tool L, shortcut is L, and then try to select the sections that you want it to be extracted, right? So this is one way of doing. Another way of doing is, I'm just going to end this up here. I'm going to deselect, Control or Command D. Another way of doing is by clicking on this quick selection. I'm going to just select the background as close as possible, or the what I call the background. I'm going to select the background first. I'm going to extract the image by holding shift. Be careful because the contrast is not too solid, yeah, so you want to make sure that the contrast will be darker, right? So this is a little challenging component to begin with or to play with. So if you have this kind of troubles, what you would do is, first and foremost, let's look at the level. Control L or Command L, right? I'm going to go in, I'm going to decrease or make it slightly darker, right? we're trying to get the contrast right so that it's not too wash or too gray. Say OK first, right? See, whenever you have these filters, you apply a filter, it becomes a smart filter. You can always delete this filter and you can always play with this filter. That's why smart object is recommended, right? Smart object will always maintain its originality. Okay, and once you have done this, next is you can go to your channels. You've got a couple of other components here where you can select the RGB colors. This is a little advanced, can't really see much. No, let's go back to this. So what you can do is say I go to image or layer. Let me look at hang on, I did. Okay, there's a couple of other components here. Okay, this one may be a little too much for you guys. Okay, never mind. Maybe this is a bit too much for you guys. So what we can do is let's not go there. But this one will be a little bit more too much for you guys. So yeah, there's another component here where you can do matting, right? Unfortunately, this cannot be done with this particular image, and it is a little bit more expensive to do this, yeah. So what we can do is, with image, first and foremost, let's go and look at the adjustments. If you select the layer, go to image, adjustment, and look for curves. Okay, right, look for curves. See this tiny little pointy finger, press that, choose the areas that you want to make it darker or brighter, right? So say this color, and then drag it up and down. See that? And what you can do is you can go for the channels. I think it's too much for you guys. No. Okay, let me pick up other components. All right, so I'm just going to hide this. I'm going to delete the smart object. I'm going to let me start over. I'm going to delete this filter, delete or clear smart filter, leave it as it is. I'm going to pick another color, right? Our goal is to get this sort of color, right? So how do you want to do this with Photoshop? It's very simple. One is by looking or using the quick selection tool to select the areas that you want it to be extracted or to be extracted from, or you just want to have the model by itself just to be selected. So with quick selection, unfortunately, when there is no contrast, you can't have it right selected properly. In order for you to create a quick and nice selection, all you have to do is use the lasso tool. Right, this is very basic. I'm going to come in and I'm going to choose these sections. Let's say the dress first, right? I'm going to just select the dress as such quickly. You can use whether the polygonal lasso tool or you can use a lasso tool, right? Do a quick selection as such. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 roughly. You can take your time to have it super clean, right? So this is a demo. For demo purpose, I'm not going to be extremely clean. I'm just going to follow to a certain degree where the technique is shown. Okay, I'm going to have this all selected, right? Don't worry about the solid selection or precise selection. You can do this during your sweet time, right? Select all this, and then what you have to do is add or create a solid. Okay, see this solid color, pick that and hit on it. The moment you hit solid color, the selection becomes a mask. Am I making sense? Yeah, and the selection becomes a mask if, let's say, I pick any blue color or red color, for instance, right? Or pinkish red or something like this. Yeah, you like this color and press OK. Right, what it does is the selection becomes the mask, and now you can have the blending options like overlay, or you can use a color to apply on top of it. Normally it's overlay. Okay, so this overlay will then overlay right on top of the black and white color, and here you can always reduce the opacity or reduce the saturation, the visibility as much as you want, so it fits the actual nature of the um, the result that you want for the final output, right? So this can be the dress. Okay, so later you guys try it out, and then again the same process where you can use the polygonal tool or you can use the lasso tool with lasso, a common lasso, and if you have a nice drawing tablet, you can just immediately have this selected as such. You can see,
Sure.
yes.
Can you repeat the whole process again, like the coloring part after after I select it?
Oh, how do you want to add color? Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to show that. I'm going to show that this as well. Right, hang in there. So you do the selection, hold shift, do another selection for the skin. Okay, use the lasso tool. You can take your time to create a solid or very clean selection. Right, I'm just going to go in and do this. I'm using a mouse as well, as precise as I can for our demo purpose. Look, okay, I'm going to come in here, do a selection again on the legs, do on another side, loop, and for another section, loop. Don't worry about the precise selection here. Do the selection accordingly, add on the selection again with holding shift so that it will add on more and more selection areas. And this time around, go again down to the layers window. See the hemisphere, hold on to it and add a solid color. Push. The moment you add on a solid color, what it does is it picks the selection tool and it will make it into a mask. And this time around, go with a skin tone color as such, maybe a little bit more whitish yellow or orangey, and press OK. You can always change the colors. Yeah. So now all you have to do is, once you have already picked the colors, go to the blending mode, see that is normal here, you now change it to color. Right, so for the skin, normally it will go with color, or you can even try out overlay. You can see overlay or color, either one. Color will give you the strong saturation of that color to blend in. If it's overlay, it overlays on top of it. It kind of like transparently it will overlay on top of the black and white image. Am I making sense? Yeah. So all you have to do is, if you're not happy with the colors, you can just double click on the color thumbnail and change the color accordingly so that it's not too much, it is reasonably well here, blending in, and say OK, done. Same goes with the dress color. Again, double click on it and change the color accordingly, and make sure it is not like too bright. Yeah, or you can even have it bluish or any preferred colors from yours. Make sure it is the color is contrasty, yeah, so that it pops out. Yeah, say something like a little bit of bluish color. Right, drag it in, accordingly, press OK. Now you have a nice ballerina dress. You can increase, you can go with color, right? You can try with other blending options as well, right? I'll go with overlay with this, then I'll teach you how to adjust it even further. So this is the not the easiest techniques to play with, right? You can also then edit even further by adding in or using the same mask, and you can also add in a gradient. Right? No worries. Okay, so you can have a gradient now, right? And say OK. Example, I'm going to drag this for the dress alone. I'm going to hold Alt or Option, just drag and drop it and replace the mask. Can you see? Boom. I drop it here, and this time I'm going to do a little soft light or a little multiply. See that? And I will change it to a certain degree, some sort like here. I can even add in a different sort of color by changing the colors that I already have, by creating this nice blend color. Okay, you can see.
Like, so how do you apply the color once you lasso the dress?
So again, sorry.
How do you apply the color once you lasso the dress?
How do I apply the color once I lasso the dress? It's very simple. Again, choose the lasso tool, right? Say for instance you only want a section. Just drag and do a proper masking. Yeah. Say you want to have this section. Yeah, the upper, upper part of the dress. Once you have a section, selection, sorry, all you have to do is come in here at the bottom. Can you see my cursor?
Yeah.
Here, go in and create new layer. Look at this icon, this circle icon, and look for solid color. Okay, tap on
Okay.
this once and change the color accordingly, like that, and go in, add an overlay, or perhaps you want to change the fill to something else, or you want to have it reduced in terms of its opacity so it's more transparent. You can do that by playing with the value of the opacity as well as what kind of blending option that you want to add. So now if you on back all this, you have a nice image, right? And this time around, perhaps you want to change it to color, right? So that it is overlaid on top of it. Make sense? Okay. Same goes with the other sections. Say for instance you don't have a drawing tablet and you want to add on, like for instance, as you can see here, there's a bleeding or left out spot. All you have to do is pick the mask. Make sure you click on the mask thumbnail, use a brush, B for brush, right? Make sure you're on black, or sorry, white, and you can slowly reveal the color and paint over to the areas that you want it to cover with the colors. Make sense? Say if you want to have this to be in orange, or you want to have more patterns to come in, you can make the size bigger by using the open and close bracket on your keyboard, then start painting over on this selection. Or you can even use control or command. Make sure that you select the selection, be in that previous mask selection, and you can do this. Ta-da! It will maintain within the range or within that selection range. I can even go in and change or add in colors or certain sections, blah, 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 reveal it. Okay, you can even go in and add on more colors for the belt perhaps. Got it? You can change X is to switch to another, not to the black and white selection, paint it over slowly, and you can blend in with the object. Control D or Command D, ta-da, you have another color here. Okay, can any questions? You reduce your opacity as much as you want. Yeah, see which is the best, options that you want to play with.
Can you like show the gradient part again? Kind of forgot already.
The gradient part. How do I add this gradient? Is it
Yeah.
okay? It's the same thing. All you have to do, go back to your lasso tool, whichever lasso tool that you're working with. Say for instance I want to have a gradient for only the else part, okay, the red color area. All you have to do is, with that selection on, again come back to this icon here below your layer window. You will see there is create new fill or adjustment layers. Tap on it once and you will see gradient map. Right, tap on this once and you have a gradient map over it. Okay, and this time all you have to do is pick the gradient, double click on it. Okay, double click on this, or you can change the colors by going into the properties and changing colors that would fit exactly your preferences. And so say OK and OK. Make sense?
Oh, yep. Thank you.
Any questions? Again, this should be soft. If you want it to be soft or soften, we'll click this and I hit G or look for gradient. You can find the gradient tool if you either seeing paintbrush, paint bucket tool. Just hold on that icon until you find there's to another option, gradient tool. Tap on it once and now choose the gradient. By right you should be able to adjust it accordingly, but if it's not, then you can go in and adjust here by clicking once. So, that's weird. Give me a second. Oh, not gradient map, sorry, gradient. Gradient map is just a map. Gradient fill is a gradient that will give you an option where you can adjust the angles and so. Okay. Say
Sure.
okay. Can I? So just now, gradient map and gradient, there's two different things. Gradient map is on top of it, you can't adjust, you can only adjust like an overlay, the gradient overlay alone. But gradient is where you can adjust the direction where the gradient is going to come in and blend in. That making sense? Yeah. And then of course come in and change the saturation accordingly. So if you want it to be different colors, or which result it gives the best option. Say for instance I want to have it as overlay or soft light, or a soft, probably a color on top of it to give it a little murky green. Yeah, I'm just going to hit color and see how much I want to blend in by just going into the mask. Use a brush, B for brush, and paint over the areas that needs to be filled with that gold. Got it? right? The same technique with the others as well. Can how you undo a lasso tool because I accidentally moved extra step. How do you do the undo tool is practically by redoing the selection. Again, if I have a selection, I do this, right? Say for the hair, for the lasso tool, I'm going to select this. I'm precisely trying to go, try to be as close as possible and as close or as precise as possible to get that selection, perfect. But say I've done this, right? All you have to do is zoom in by holding Alt and then using your scroll, your scroll, and then hold Alt or Option. Make sure you see a minus on that lasso. So now you just have to minus it, and Shift is to add on this region to make it wider and bigger. You can see. So there is no undo, like how we do with painting and so selection only this way. Of course, with the more high, I would say you can still undo. It will just go back to the previous step, but it would not be undoing, so precisely as you want when you paint it. Okay, I'm going to zoom it out, and so that's how you do your selection. Okay, yeah, do a selection as such. Once you're happy with this, all you have to do is, because the image is very pixelated and a little blurry, so what you're going to do is we're just going to play with the selections and then add in colors in order for us to enhance the look and feel of the image, or add in colors. Okay, so all you have to do next is go in and add a solid color again, fine, and this time perhaps you want to have it a little orangish or a little bit more contrasty, say a bit more reddish, perhaps reddish brown, close towards black, and say OK. This time around, go to overlay and capuche. There you go, you got that done. Right, again the same technique, use the brush tool, make it bigger and paint over the areas where it's gonna be affected by the color. Okay, now press X, and if you have a drawing tablet, this will be a lot more easier for you to color and so. Okay, and now say you have done this. So far everybody is clear on how to add colors to your image and so. So our goal is try to replicate something and come out with this kind of colors. So it's much more of a photo touch up, right? Okay. It is still not solid. One is because the value is a little washed, so perhaps you want to add a little smart filter. So Control L or Command L, you can increase and decrease the values. See that? Okay, on your right, the further it goes, the darker it becomes. On your left is the closer it goes to the left, or you scrub to the left, it becomes a little bit more brighter. Okay, now you adjust the value. The center is to follow the lightness of the colors or the brightness. Okay, so how light you want it to be affecting how much of colors and so on, and say okay. So level is to identify the black and white. Okay, Ken, how do you get this? Control L or Command L, say okay. If you still can't see that, go in here again where we added our solid, tap once, hold on that particular icon and look for levels, right? Ken, all right, so with that done, the next stage is, this is much more realistic, right? Yes, it's a bit washed. This is much more realistic because the contrast is more apparent, right? Say you have done this and you're happy with this, and you want to maintain all this as what they call, you want to maintain all the breakdowns separately. Yeah, all you have to do is number one is to go in to the selection. First and foremost, you can even come in and do this for feather. Select, you can modify feather. Because it is too sharp, you can increase the radius to probably 15 and hit OK, and as you can see, the selections become a little bit more softer or bigger. You can see it is not so sharp. Okay, if you want to do a selection, we'll talk about this even further for smooth selection and so, or you can even bring or come into blur. You can even have a shape blur. Okay, so when you have a shape blur, what happens is, if you increase the blurriness, it will eat in. Okay, depending on how sharp the edges is going to look. Okay, how much does it bleed in, and so, making sense? So you can come in, this is bonus. You come in, go for blur, look for shape blur or surface blur, right? You can increase the radius so that it kind of like smoothens the corners. Yeah, with this surface blur it may not see so much, right? Maybe with the shape blur is much more clear, right? Blurriness will give you a nice, soft edges. Okay, can go for Gaussian blur if you want to, right? Increase the radius will give you soften edges like that. Okay, so this is one way of playing, or you can even go in, choose the fill, the mask, by holding Control or Command, tap on the mask, it becomes a selection that it selects. Go in here, you can look into, this is supposedly matte. Unfortunately matting is not showcasing, because it is still a smart object. And so what you can do is you can come in here use a soft round brush, right, and make it slightly smaller and start blurring out the edges surrounding this by painting over with black. This is the final touch-ups that you want to add. Okay, can you see? You can slowly touch it up to make it more beautiful and much more blending. Okay, you can play with the opacity by reducing the opacity, so you can slowly blend it in. See, I can maintain certain areas. I can reduce the opacity to say 24. See that? You can slowly rub it off and it starts to blend. Okay, so this is the final touch-ups normally you'll be doing when you are playing with photo manipulation. Okay, yes, Ken? Right, again go into the mask and slowly blur out few components. Now it becomes even more realistic. And start painting and painting and painting. Right? Helpful? Okay. So this is the way that we adjust the colors and so. Another final touch after you finish all this editing or adding in all these colors and so to a black and white image. The next thing is, remember how we did our dual lights and so previously. First and foremost, let's create a brand new layer, empty. You can go into image, apply apply image, and make sure it is merged and blending is normal, and say OK. What it does is it will then take all this, your raw files previously, right, and it has combined it to one single image. And I'm going to do a group, Control G or Command G, or you can hit on this folder. I'm going to group this up, so I have the original maintain. This is the working file. I'll share this PSD with you guys. Okay, and make sure you save it, and then you've got the merge version. Okay, and now if you were to work with this image, right click, you can convert it to a smart object. The moment you have a smart object, all you have to do is go to filter and you can hit on liquify, right, and liquify will then give you the options to increase the size of certain sections, as you can see. Right. You can make the nose slightly bigger. This is the AI tool. Okay, let's see. You can look down. You can also enlarge the face, decrease the size. You can use other tools, as like for instance, if you want to go for a wrap, you can wrap things around, make the draw size bigger or brush tool bigger. You can adjust accordingly to blend in. You can see, but go slow, right? Don't just go in and do this, and it becomes very thick. Right? I'm going to change this character. Okay, adjust it accordingly. Make it a little bit more realistic as much as I can. Take your time. You can use the other tools. You can reconstruct. Okay. See that? You're adjusting the areas that it was been adjusted. You can bulge or bloat certain things. Puff it up. Right? You can even have the Duca tool, which you can kind of like make this areas a little bit more clamped. Okay, just be careful using all this tool. So this is Liquify tool, right? You can push this even further. Okay, you control this part, especially when there's hair. And make it a little bit more curvy, and you can see the entire character has been changed. You can see. Okay, so you're happy with all these tools. Now you can also adjust the eye size. Okay, how big you want to have. Right, so this is the content aware, face aware Liquify. Normally this is for you to explore. I'm not going to explain on that too much because it takes a lot of time for you to play with all the options given. Yeah, once you're happy with this, you just have to say okay. As you can see, Liquify, with Liquify and without Liquify. You see, look, 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 look. All right, can. So this is a little bit of photo manipulation and also photo editing touch-ups, right? Can. Wow, who's been out and in? Where him due just came in. Okay, anyways, any questions, guys? Happy to be? So again, Liquify tool is to help you to create this kind of puff things up, but be careful when you're using. Not every components can be adjusted with the Liquify tool, right? Play smart. Do not distort the entire image where you get excited with the Liquify tool and then go in and then start using all these troll tools, and so eventually it is gonna make it meh. Right, just be careful with that. Right, so for you guys to try out, please try all this and get the ballerina as such. Right, and another option is given for you guys is as such, as a sample, but I would want you to go push yourself to the utmost best So mix it again and bring in, right? Another bonus, if you were to enhance this image even further, all you can do is press a new layer, right? And this time go for a soft brush, soft rounder, make sure it is soft round, make it big by open bracket or close bracket. Now look for a bright yellowish color, perhaps, right? Depending on a sunny day, perhaps. Yeah. So this is your key light, and go for a soft light blending. Don't go and paint yet, right? Then choose a layer, tap on it, give sunlight. Okay, it can be white, it can be towards the white spectrum. Yeah. And now what you can do is you can do this. Sun is coming in, soft light. You can have light that comes in and shines on the character. You can even change to something yellow and drag it in. You can even reduce the opacity. Perhaps you want to have a yellow color filter or bluish filter and have it around. See that? So a little bit of lighting here and there to enhance the look and feel of this image. Ta-da! Right? You can even add another one. So this one can be light and this can be shadow or vignette. All you have to do is this vignette. Right? All you have to do now is look for a selection, Eclipse tool, right? Hold Alt, tap from the center, make it big, somewhere there, drag it down so that it captures or it only goes to the end. Control Shift I or Command Shift I. Now all you have to do is add in a black color. Bam. Fill in the blank. Whoa. Something good. Fill in the blank and go for multiply. Okay. Reduce the opacity and Control D. Go in to filter, add blur. This time Gaussian blur done. Ta-da! Instagram picture has been done. Okay, so this is bonus. If you want to do this, it's very simple, or you can just paint over surrounding. Okay, can you reduce it as much as you want so that it's not too blur. So again, as you can see, the origin of this image is this ballerina. This ballerina here. I'm going to drag this over right to the top. Drag it outside here. Okay, so this is the origin. I'm going to delete the smart filter, right? Ori. Okay. and this is what we get from that particular image. Ta-da! Right, so that's it folks for today. Right,
Thank you, Ja.
welcome. Any questions from anyone? Right. Okay then, take care guys. See you then.
Bye.
Goodbye.